this little dirty little bass line.
I don't fucking care. Can we move on to a new segment, please?
Yeah!
Welcome to Just Two Fans, a sports show about sports,
Obviously.
about life,
Because sports are life.
and about just whatever the hell we feel like talking about. So, let's go.
Cameron, are we live?
Yeah, we're live. Did you not hear the music?
No, we
No.
couldn't hear it.
No music.
So it's just gonna be Jamie and I just sitting there, just like,
No, you
Awesome.
weren't on the screen. I wouldn't do that to you.
I appreciate it. That's nice of you. But yeah, neither Jamie or I could
I was
hear
like,
the music.
what is happening?
I could hear it on the Twitch stream, so you nailed that.
Well, you were like jamming, and it was just Jamie, and so I was like, oh, okay, no, Eli's probably got it.
Well, I was jamming this because I was listening to it. I muted the Twitch stream and I was like, uh-oh, it's gone. But here we are,
well,
guys.
what's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? I'm Jamie Friedlander. That's Eli Johnson.
Wrong.
This is the Just Two Fans podcast.
It is. But that was flipped for those newcomers.
Oh, that's true. We might have some people who actually don't know who we are. Yeah, no, I'm Eli Johnson. That's Jamie Friedlander. Welcome to the show. We talk college football, specifically Pac-12, RIP, Pac-12.
Almost. Not quite in the grave yet.
Well, Pac-12 is fully in the grave. But the Pac-2 is still alive and kicking.
The Pac-12 is still playing football right now, so it's not in the grave.
Oh, okay.
We have a death date, though. Like, we know the day that
It's
Pac-12
terminal.
dies. Yes.
It's terminal.
Terminal, and we know an exact date. That's okay, though.
It's not okay, though.
It's really not okay, but it will be fine.
Especially after this year. Fuck Larry Scott, man.
Right up the butt.
Hate that man.
Such a
Dude, I feel
twat,
like,
dude.
okay, if you met Larry Scott in person, how do you think you'd handle that situation?
I'd say, hey, go fuck yourself.
I think so too. Like, usually I'm pretty respectful of like people. I'd be like, yeah, like, you know, like, oh, it's nice to meet you, blah blah blah. Like, I'd like schmooze him up a bit. No, I don't think I would with him. I'd be like, fuck you, you ruined one of my favorite things.
In the whole world.
Like, get fucked. Get fucked, man. Nobody likes you.
I think I would actually, I'm with you. I'm not the person to be like, hey, fuck you. Like, I'm not confrontational.
Yeah.
I'm not like that. But with him specifically, like, hey, Larry Scott, go fuck yourself.
I don't
Nice
like,
to meet you. Please go the fuck away forever.
I try to be like savage about it, dude. Like if he tried to shake my hand, I don't even think I'd shake his hand. Like I only shake hands with people I respect, beach.
I'd go in with like the uber firm, like way too firm, like I'm trying to break your hand.
Like the Trump one where he like pulls them in super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Power move him.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd pull him in like that. I would just like, yeah.
It'd be a hate shake.
I would try to break your hand.
A hate shake.
Yeah, hate shake.
Just Jamie's
Exactly.
you look over at Jamie's like double handing, just like just trying to rip his hand off.
Exactly.
I love it. I'd be here for it.
Yep.
He gave himself like a $4 million bonus after firing a bunch of people.
No,
though,
he's
fuck that guy.
He's a total fuckhead.
He deserves one less hand.
He deserves a lot worse than that.
Yeah, that's true. Hey,
Lot
fuck that guy.
Worse. Fuck that guy forever. Let's talk about some sports. Let's start with.
Okay.
We're not going to jump right into college football. We'll get into that in a minute. Some news out of Portland last week.
Yes.
Damian Lillard, longtime superstar for the Portland Trailblazers, is on the move in a blockbuster 3-team deal between the Bucks, Blazers, and Suns. How do you feel about this?
It's sad to see Dame go, right? Like I've been a fan of his for 13 years, 11 years he's been in Portland. And he's given me a lot of great memories. But since Cronin made this decision with the draft, Joe Cronin, the GM, I am happy with what they got out of it. I'm not happy with the way it went down, right? Because Cronin's a dick, and he was a dick to Dame. But I also so here's the issue, right? Is like, for those of you who don't know, Dame publicly came out and was like, I'm asking for a trade. You guys aren't going in the direction I want. That's a pretty standard thing. Nobody's going to be all upset about that, right? Then his agent and him kind of start coming out saying, like, I'm only going to Miami. That right there, stating that publicly and going to teams publicly saying he will only accept a trade to Miami essentially ruined Dame's chance to go to Miami, right? Because after that, there's just no leverage for anyone. And so I actually think Cronin played that fairly smart in the fact that he was like, we can't let you hold us hostage like this. We're going to entertain offers, and you're going to go where you want to go. Or not, Miami doesn't have the assets. Miami didn't even have the assets to even bring a third team in, right? They didn't have, like, nobody fucking wants Tyler Hero. Get the fuck out of here, right? Like,
right.
You're gonna trade one high scoring guard for another, a way worse one. No, it's just they didn't have the first round picks. So I think one of the bigger mistakes was that it was really disappointing to hear that Dame went to the front office and said that if he couldn't go to Miami, that he'd want to stay in Portland, and Cronin basically told him to fuck off. But again, like, he kind of publicly put Cronin in a corner. And so as like horrible as it is that he told, like, that we are hearing that Dame wanted to come back on some level, like, it's a total ego move that Cronin was like, no, don't come back, which is super shitty. But, like, you kind of understand the ego move. Like, Dame backed him into a corner, and, like, but on the flip side of this, like, let's go back to the actual trade of it. Like I said, I'm not happy with the way it went down. I'd rather have Dame than a lot of things here, but the Blazers got a fucking haul, dude. Holy shit, they got a haul.
Yes, they did.
My
a little
God.
unreal what they got.
They won this trade. As much as I love Dame Lillard and I think he is an elite player in the NBA, the Blazers won this trade.
I
right?
agree with you.
But I also think Dame kind of won with this trade too, right? Because one, he gets to go play with Giannis, one of the best players in the league, right?
Yep.
He goes to play with Giannis, Chris Middleton. Like, it's a great fit for him. It's another small market, which isn't great, but it's a way for him to get a ring, and immediately they become the favorite to win a ring. Yep. Immediately, right? With the addition of Dame. And then Portland got just an absurd, like, they got two, like, really humble all-stars. They got Drew Holiday, who's an elite player. Then they flipped him for even more picks and shit. They got like 7 first-round picks out of this trade. Like, it's unbelievable. I can't tell you. Chris would be able to tell us better on what he got out of the trade, but they got an unbelievable amount of picks for this trade. They got some great pieces. They got DeAndre Ayton, which Portland hasn't had, like, a true good big man in a while, and he could be that guy, as much as I don't like his history at Arizona State. But, you know, it is what it is.
Arizona. He was at Arizona.
It was Arizona. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, so, like, it's a very bittersweet moment as a Blazer fan, because it's very much the end of an era, and it was a really ugly divorce from that era. But I'm excited because the future, I mean, Portland has a really, really, really good young base, and they have a lot of capital to build that team up. So I don't expect them to be that great this year, but 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, this was a move for the future, right? This is we're not built to win now. We have a superstar that needs to win now. This was absolutely the right move by the Blazers. Yeah. I am not a fan of players picking and choosing where they get to go and making these sort of demands. Now, if you have it in your contract that you have whatever
no
it's
trade
called,
clause.
no trade clause, and you have to sign off on any trade. Okay, great. You clearly negotiated that. Dame didn't have that. So
Well, he didn't have that, and he just renegotiated last year, and you got an extension. Like, you're kind of boned, dude.
yeah. And then as soon as you say you want out, see ya. Right? You can't just come back and say, no, actually, I didn't really mean that. I kind of want to come back. Like, nope, sorry, that ship has sailed. And
yeah, it's tough.
The Heat fans
it's
out
tough
there,
as a Blazer fan because like Dame has been so loyal to the Trailblazers for so long. It's hard to see that like the full business transaction of like, sorry, dude, like we want people who want to be here. It's hard to see that, right? Because you're like, I want Dame back, like.
yeah.
But,
I mean, I get that from a superstar standpoint, but if you're looking at this objectively as a Blazer fan, as objectively as you can, this is a huge win.
yeah, it's a great trade. They got so much. I think Chris tweeted about it. Are you trying to look that up? Because it'd be fun to bring Chris into the show a little bit here.
Oh, I'll bring him in later. Don't you worry.
Because he tweeted out. I'm gonna look for it right now, but he tweeted out what they got for Dame, in totality, and he might have even texted it to us. But it's like a lot, right? Like if this was like anybody but like a very loyal Dame Lillard, everyone would be super happy about this.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Portland's final haul for Dame is DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, who's likely going to be traded.
Yep.
Tomani Kamara, 2024 Warriors first round, 2028 Bucks swap, 2029 Celtics first round, 2029 Bucks first round, and a 2030 Bucks swap. That's a haul.
That's a haul. That is a haul.
I mean, yeah, you can't ask for a whole lot more out of a trade than that.
Yeah, and especially because they're probably going to flip Malcolm Brogdon as well and get more draft capital out of this. Blazers are going to be able to draft everybody.
Yeah, I mean, draft capital in the NBA it's not quite like trading draft picks in the NFL, right? Like
it's definitely not
quite as valuable, but. And it's hard, right? Because, like, if you're a Blazers fan, it's like, yay, 2029 first-round picks. They're going to have 3 first-rounders in the 2029 draft.
Yeah.
So
wild.
If you can somehow build a nice young core right now and then have 3 first-round picks again in 2029,
or I mean, if you put together a really good squad and you're one piece away, that's a lot of trade capital right there. You can get somebody great for 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's a good trade. It's just a rough trade as a fan.
I mean, it's always tough to see your favorite players go, right? Like, It's always tough. All I can say to Blazers fans is at least this was not the Nolan Arenado trade.
I was just about to say that. I was like, at least like we got something for him, unlike the Nolan Arenado trade.
Where they're paying for him to leave.
Oh my God. That like genuinely one of the worst trades I've ever seen in my life.
It's the worst trade I've ever seen.
I'm going to see worst trades in MLB history.
Oh, I'm sure there's worse. I am sure.
I'm still going to look it up because I want to know now.
Babe Ruth got traded for a goat, man. Like, there's worse trades out there.
True. It's got to be up. I mean, it's probably not actually up there, but it's just so bad.
It's really bad. Really bad. Any closing thoughts there? It's really not time for the NBA. So
no, I mean, I think I said what I needed to say here. You know.
Cool. All right, baseball playoffs have now begun. Your Mariners totally blew it down the stretch.
Yeah, they fucked up real bad. Real bad. They were bad in the last couple weeks.
Which is crazy because they had such a good August. Insanely good August.
Baseball's a game of momentum, man.
Yep, 100%. 100%. So in the wild card rounds, we have the Rays and Rangers, Twins and Blue Jays in the AL. And then the NL, we have Phillies and Marlins and Brewers and Diamondbacks. The first round of games have taken place today. The Rangers beat the Rays 4-0. The Twins beat the Blue Jays 3-1. A little surprising there for me. Let's see. There's other scores here that aren't showing up. I know there are. The Diamondbacks beat the Brewers 6-3, and the Phillies beat the Marlins 4-1. How do you see these series shaking out? It's short series, right? So it's best 2 out of 3. So
yeah.
Pretty much, if you win the first, you're most likely going to win.
Yeah, I don't really like. So here's the problem: is like I watched a lot of baseball this year, but it was like a lot of Mariners baseball. I didn't really watch a lot of.
This is the
baseball.
problem with baseball, just in general, is it's such a regional sport. Like I watched almost none. I'm a huge baseball fan. I can't even watch the Rockies with the TV package I have, and like watching a random Diamondbacks game in the middle of the season just doesn't.
It's not going to do it.
Doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with baseball. We've talked about this problem in the past, just with a lot of sports is regional sports. If your regional team is not interesting, you just fall off.
Well, like my regional team was interesting, but like, you know, like I like you said, I'm not watching, you know, Phillies in the middle of the season. I'm not watching the Diamondbacks in the middle of the season, you know, or not.
All right, here I'll rephrase this. We don't need to pick each series because we haven't paid that much attention. Let me ask you this. Do you think the Orioles are for real? The 1 seed in the American League. Do you think that we can have a miracle run? They won 101 games, second most in baseball this year. Do you think they can make a World Series run?
Yes.
Are you picking them in the American League?
Out of the American League, probably. You know, they were in the hardest division in baseball this year, right? Like the AL East was like insane. And they came out of it with 100 wins. Like that's really impressive.
No doubt.
So with that kind of gauntlet, I don't think you can call somebody a pretender when you win 100 games in a division where the worst team was almost 500.
Yeah.
Right. Like
no doubt
481. It was like, and like, so, you know, I think absolutely they can make a run at this.
I hope they do. That is like, if I was to latch onto a team this postseason, it's 100% the Orioles. I want them to win it all.
Yeah. I've always had like a little soft spot in my heart for the Braves. Because when I was playing Little League baseball, I was on the Braves. And I played third base, and people call me Chipper. So
he's my second favorite player of all time.
It is hard to hate those Jones. 90s Braves teams, man. They were so fucking good.
Yeah. And so I have a soft spot for the Braves, so I'm probably pulling for them, and they had the #1 record in the league. So
I'm picking the Braves out of the National League, 100%. That team is fucking nasty.
So you're going Braves Orioles?
I am so down for a Braves Orioles.
I would fucking love that. I'm calling it now. Braves winning it all.
Now, I don't know how many times 2 1 seeds have made it to the World Series. I'm guessing it's not a lot because baseball's fucking wild. I hope it happens. I want that. I will watch the shit out of that World Series. That's exciting stuff to me. I want that. I want it bad. All right. That's enough baseball. Formula One news this week. Couple things. First of all, we have some forward momentum finally for Andretti to become the 11th team.
What? I didn't see this.
Formula One. Andretti gains FIA approval and bid to join F1. It is now down to Cameron again. Super producer Cameron's time for you to chime in because this is your topic. I believe it's now down to a vote from the teams
So
to see if they'll be in.
yeah, so really what the first thing that needs to fall is Liberty Media needs to say yes because they own Formula One. So they need to say yes, that's the media company that runs everything, sells all the rights. So they just need to see the value there. And really,
Which is dumb not to, because the American market is going to be huge.
Oh, for sure, especially with a name like Andretti. So
Yeah.
Realistically, if they say yes, the other 10 teams will be convinced the top half will be easier. The bottom half that Andretti is going to fight against starting in 2026 are going to be a little bit harder because right now, if nothing changes, it just means less overall prize money. The purses get smaller. But as the market grows and they sell more media rights, that will go up. So it's kind of like they're not going to make less money. They're not going to make the same. They're going to make more by adding an actual American team because Haas is an Italian team with the headquarters in the Carolinas. So I think that, yeah, this was the big hurdle. The FIA had to say yes, which meant that they had all their poop in a group and said, here, we're good. I thought it was ballsy when they broke ground on the Indianapolis headquarters for Andretti Racing so they could house it all in one spot.
Yeah, man. That's ballsy as fuck.
And so, yeah, now I'm just curious. Like, I think it'll be Cadillac Andretti or Andretti Cadillac. So now we're seeing potential with that and Ford's joining the grid in 2026 with Red Bull. So
they're just producing engines,
They're just producing engines, but they're going to be a name sponsor. So it's going to be the Ford Red Bull car. Like Ford will be on the side. Everywhere it says Honda on a Red Bull, it will say Forward.
It's going to say Ford.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
So
I have a question for you, Cameron. I don't know if you have the answer for this, but right now, since they are not even necessarily in the running to be an F1, well, they just got approved. If they started developing their car now, do they have unlimited budget right now until 2026 to like get all their poop in a group?
So here's the thing about the timing. They don't know what the car can legally be in 2026. We won't know until the end of the 2025 season. So because the engines are going to change, tires are going to be completely different, car specs are going to be different. So they don't need to. What they are probably going to do is look at a lot of avenues and start at least, they're going to work on their drivers, right? And their infrastructure and see how they can blow up what they've got for Indy to be 10 times bigger with the same amount of races and only 2 cars. So it's going to be the logistics is what they're going to work on for the next couple of years. Now,
gotcha.
That's not to say that the engineers are going to sit around with their thumbs up their butts, figure popping assholes, but they are, they're very limited on what they can actually prepare to do, which is why the 2026, like that's the first opportunity.
Yeah. My thought would be like if I'm running the team, and we have 3 years before we're on the grid, basically I would build like a supercar to 2025 spec, right? And then you can change based off of that, right? So you have the base already there, and then just make the changes that need to be, tweak the changes. So maybe they'll be doing that. I don't know if that's legal though. I don't know.
Yeah,
if they
so
can do
that's
that.
I would be about 99% positive that the FIA won't let them do that.
Yeah.
Like you can start working on a car or working on your relationships where you're going to source things or, the ins and outs. Like maybe they get a head start in 2025 and they know kind of what the car specs are going to be, but not the engine. Because it brings up an interesting point where all of these teams, they don't have a baseline of 0. Like,
right.
While they can, they're all going to try different things, whether it's side pods on or off, and how they're going to solve porpoising and those kind of things that they've worked on for the past 5 years for the new or current rules. But yeah, so I think that they might be able to get some stuff done, but they're not it's unlikely that they'd be allowed to just build a whole car and go from there. But you never know. Maybe they get an old car from a team because even Aston Martin's still running tests in the AM19 car for stuff. So we don't know. And the other interesting part about that season is that Audi joins the grid as well in Audi Sauber.
Hell yeah.
That's taking over Aston, right?
No, that's taking over Alpha.
Alpha. I screw that up every fucking time.
So Audi's going to be the engine supplier and the name sponsor with Audi Sauber. And because Alpha loses their name on it after this season. So it'll be Sauber Racing next year and then Audi Sauber. So the lot's changing.
Shit's confusing.
Yeah.
It's going to be wild.
I'm going to end up with so much F1 merch now. Like between my Audi fandom and like all of the Cadillac shit.
Yeah.
The upside is the Cadillac stuff's going to be super easy because like everyone and their mom can get a Cadillac shirt off of Amazon and just call it a day.
Yeah. So Jamie, to answer our previous question, over the last 50 seasons, since league championships have been introduced, number one teams have met in the World Series 12 times.
In the last 50 years?
In the last 50 years,
Okay,
it's like 12 times when it's 1-1.
Like a 25%-ish.
Ish. So
23%.
Last time it happened was in 2013, where Red Sox Cardinals. And oddly enough, the AL team in every occurrence has been from the AL East except for 1995.
Interesting.
Anyways, that's that.
I dig it. Formula One, back to that. We have the Qatar Grand Prix coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Are we going to see anybody other than Max Verstappen on the podium, top of the podium?
I was about to say he can't take all 3 spots, but he could figure out a way to stand on all 3. He would
figure out a fucking way.
I didn't hear what you said.
At first I said, is anybody but Max Verstappen going to be on the podium? And then I changed it to top of the podium because I knew Cameron was going to be a smart ass.
He can hear me swinging in. He heard me unmute my microphone. He's like, that son of a bitch, he's coming for me.
No, it is going to be Max Verstappen.
100%.
It is what it is, man. Qatar is too fast of a track.
He might not lose another race.
All right, so who's 2 and 3?
That is a good question. I'm going to go Lando Norris.
Okay.
At 2. And Leclerc at 3.
I'm going to go Lando and Lewis.
Yeah, actually, I'm changing mine. I'm going to go actually Lewis, then Lando.
See, I was going to do Lewis, then Lando as well. If he's close to Lando, he's a far superior driver. All he's got to do is...
Yeah.
Lewis is a better driver than just about everybody on the grid, other than maybe Max.
Lewis is a better driver. Same car, Lewis wins 9 times out of 10.
I buy that.
Because the 10th time...
I actually buy that.
Because the 10th time, Max crashed both of them.
But I just think like Qatar is like a fast course.
Qatar's very fast.
The top end speed of Red Bull is just absurd.
Yeah.
So
that car's just unbelievable, man. That car is unreal.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's still amazing. It's still amazing to me that Checo is doing so poor, and we say so poorly. He's second in the driver's standings, but relatively poorly to how his car should be performing.
Yeah.
What were you saying about Mercedes?
Mercedes has gotten a lot better, but their planned upgrades are next race after Qatar, right?
Yes.
Yeah, their last package.
Yeah, their last package. When does it come in? Wow.
Austin.
Yeah, Austin. That's right.
Unless it fails, then you got to start the day all over again. Fucking F123. That shit don't make no sense.
Bro.
95% success rate, completely fails day 1.
I'll have to take your word for that one.
Dude, it's frustrating because like
it is wild.
You advance to like the race weekend and all of your stuff's supposed to just be complete. And it's like, no, these 3 things didn't get completed. So you lose like a whole week's worth of time in the game. Did you guys see the video that Formula One did with George, Lando, and Alex Albon?
I did not.
No.
Because they all joined the grid at the same time, and it was 2019. So it was like a catch up for all three of them. And yeah, I'm secure in my George hatred.
Dude, that guy's such a little bitch, man.
Dude was just
fucking don't like him at all.
And he was I don't know, he was kind of talking a little bit of shit, and Lando was like, well, yeah, I mean, you guys are, you're up there, but Lewis is kind of holding down the points for you. And George just kind of looked at him and was like, yeah, Lewis is doing really good. And it checked him out. But there was some questions about Alex Albon when he lost his seat in 2020 and was off the grid for a year. And I appreciated that both of them said, no, we're not going to talk about this. Like, George and Lando were like, no, we don't need, like, we all know what happened. We can just move on. And you can see the relief in, like, Alex Albon's eyes. And I thought that was pretty cool since they all came on the grid together and have been around the same amount of time.
Yeah, one moment of class doesn't make up for being a shitty person.
No. Nope.
He's not quite as bad as Larry Scott, but he's inching his way up my least favorite driver
20
list.
years when
Dude, he is so far away from Larry Scott. I don't care how much I hate the guy. He is so fucking far away from Larry Scott, my guy.
You say that now, but in 20 years when he does something that kills Formula One and we don't get to see our first season of floating cars, I'm going to be pissed.
All of a sudden, Indy buys out, Audi Sauber.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
Lordy. All right, one last thing before we get into the best topic of all. NHL season's right around the corner. Normally, we're too early for any predictions or any, like, previews or anything like that. But I saw something today, and I sent it to you on TikTok. I want to get your input on it. I don't know if it's opening night or opening week, but there's a night where all 32 NHL teams are playing at the same time. And ESPN's going to be doing something they're likely calling, I haven't seen anything official about this, but they're going to call it NHL Frozen Frenzy, which is it's going to be a red zone-like broadcast where it sounds like they're going to go into key games or key moments in games where if it's like a 1-goal game late in the third, you're going to be at that game. Or if it's a power play, you're going to be at that game. Obviously, it can't be exactly like red zone because it's too constant of a game.
Static.
You don't have time to just switch. But what are your thoughts on something like that? And do you think it'll be successful?
I love the idea of it. I think it'll be really hard to pull off correctly. Just because hockey is such like a bang sport, it's going to be really hard for them to that broadcast team is going to have to be like top tier.
Well, see, here's the thing for me. It's pretty easy to see when shit is getting intense in a hockey game. Not quite as easy as a football game, right? So, if you're trying to compare this apples to apples to red zone, that's probably not the right way to look at it. I think what you need to look at this is a new way that they're trying to bring other sports up to that level. And they're staggering the start. So each game's going to start like 30 minutes apart. So all the intermissions are going to not line up. All the end of the games are not going to line up. So you're going to be able to see all the action through all these things in different parts.
It'll be cool. Don't get me wrong. I want to see it.
I'm curious to see how the execution is.
I am also worried about it already, right? Because hockey doesn't get nearly as much view as it's the fourth out of the major four. Baseball is, I think,
for sure.
But ESPN has been so money driven recently with all the firing of all their great analysts. Like they've been, they laid off like 30% of their company or something like that. Like they're already hurting, and having a new broadcast that probably won't get a lot of viewers. It'll get a lot of like diehard hockey fans who will probably fucking love it. I just don't think ESPN's going to carry it for very long. Although they did make a really big investment to buy the rights to do the NHL, so maybe they'll hold on to it. But I just don't think it's going to.
I think it's going to turn into an ESPN Plus thing. And it's not going to be something that has a dedicated host.
Yeah.
Like Red Zone. It's more just going to be like if you want to have hockey on your TV and just jump around to all the action throughout the NHL, this is what you're watching.
Yeah.
And you bet your ass I will have that on one of my TVs every fucking night throughout the season.
That'll be sick. That'll be sick.
Well, and the upside is that, this is really their test for what their bandwidth is to get this done. Because it's all hockey the whole time. Whereas on a nightly basis, they're doing a fraction of that many games.
Well,
so
and you bet your ass if this works that baseball is going to be looking square at it.
Yeah.
For their next media rights deals.
Dude, baseball will be so fucking easy to do. Oh, it'll be so sick too. Baseball needs like a red zone type thing.
Oh, they have it. They have MLB extra innings. You can have like 9 games on at once. But that's
different
thing.
Though.
It's different.
That's different because like I can have a bunch of hockey games on at a time, but like having the focus, like here are the great moments that you're watching. Like NFL Red Zone, like you could have all the NFL games on with NFL Sunday Ticket, right? But like if you want to watch the exciting parts of games and not to go through all the dredges of like the first quarter where nothing's fucking happening on shitty games with teams you don't really care about, but you want to see when the fucking Browns get in the red zone and score like some crazy, like you want to see that. Like I don't care about the Browns, but like when they score a touchdown, that's when I care, right? Especially for fantasy, like that was such a big deal. Like maybe fantasy hockey will become a thing. I mean, it is a thing. It is a thing, but like a thing. You know what I mean? Like a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad that the concept is expanding. We'll see how the execution is.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough of all this other garbage.
Let's get to the real good stuff.
To the realness, which is college football.
Yes.
This was the last week for a minute that we had all Pac-12 teams in play as bye weeks now begin. Actually, that's not true because UCLA had a bye week last week, which means someone else did too. So not everybody was in play this last week, but we had some good Pac-12 action. Started Friday night at Reser Stadium in Corvallis. I did not get to watch this game, but it went about like I thought it would.
Yeah. Here's the thing, man. Damian Martinez is something fucking else, man. Like he didn't even have like a great game. Like he only ran for 65 yards in a tug, but like if you need 3 yards, look no further. Look no further. That kid's gonna get it for you.
Yeah, that him combined with that O line is a bad combo.
Okay, here's the thing.
Bad man.
That O line might be a top 5 O line in the country. They are so fucking good. Well, like their pass blocking is fine. It's not great, but their run blocking, it's the best run blocking team in the country. Also, I will happily say that run blocking, their scheming, their execution, the way that their offensive line runs the ball is just a work of art.
Yeah.
And but it was a good game. Nate Johnson is not it. I think they even subbed him out at one point for somebody else.
They did for Bryson Barnes.
Bryson Barnes, yeah. Like, I can't. Like the problem with this whole Utah thing is like they're getting kind of discounted after that loss. But like when Cam Rising comes back, that's gonna be a whole other team, right? Like this loss was bound to happen for Utah. because they came across a team that like you can't have a bad quarterback against.
Not even just like an okay quarterback. He was bad. He was 8 of 23 for 100 yards and a touchdown, 9.8 QBR, which is a garbage stat. QBR is a garbage stat, but that is bad.
Here's the thing about QBR it's not a great stat. It gives you an idea.
Yeah, and the idea here is that's really bad.
Really bad. He had a really bad game.
Rushing, not good. They could not run the ball because Oregon State knew they couldn't pass the ball.
That's a big thing. People don't I think people don't realize that sometimes when your quarterback's not having a good day and people can just load the box. Like, you're not going to have a good running day either. It's just a bad day. Like,
unless you're Oregon State against Oregon last year, apparently.
True. Well, that's because they had a really good offensive line. Line, get one. Fuck.
And tackle, just like the small things. We don't need to talk about that.
All we need to talk about is offensive line. All right. That's it. I could talk about offensive line for years.
That is exactly why the quarterback position is the most important position in sports. Because if you can't throw the ball in football, you can't do anything else either for the most part.
Yep, unless
like in the NFL, for example, like there's no way what happened to Oregon last year happens in the NFL. If you have an inept quarterback in the NFL, you are fucked.
Look at the Jets. The Jets have they should be lighting up the league right now if they didn't have fucking Zach Wilson.
Aaron
Rodgers,
even then,
they still beat Kansas City with Zach Wilson, but
they didn't beat him, but they almost did.
I thought they did.
They did not, but they almost did.
But still, if they had Aaron Rodgers, they'd be Super Bowl favorites, probably.
100%. That defense is nasty.
Yeah. But you have a shitty quarterback in Zach Wilson, you're going to lose, man. You're going to lose.
Yeah, so I don't know what the status of Cam Rising is. Nobody really does. He's been questionable all 5 weeks now. So we'll see. The problem for Utah is I think this is going to be one of those years for Utah that's going to be the what if, right? And Oregon fans, we know what the what if looks like as well as most.
Yep.
This is going to be a what if year because that defense is DJ had a bad day.
Yeah.
On Friday. If Utah had any semblance of a pass game, they probably win. Because DJ did not look good, man. He didn't at all. 14 of 25 for 200 yards and a touchdown and a pick.
Tell you, man, run game.
It's not good.
Run game, baby.
Oregon State, I know you guys are on a high after a top 10 win. I get it. You should be concerned as you get into the meat of your schedule here.
Yeah.
Because your quarterback play is not good. And these teams that are lighting up the scoreboard are going to be able to wear your defense out. And if your quarterback is throwing less than 65% completion in college football these days, you're not going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, you're going to win some games here and there, but it's not going to be a sustainable model.
Correct. It's the most important position in sports. There's just no two ways about it. And if you're not stable at that position, you're going to fall behind. So that's that game. Utah, got to hope Cam Rising's back soon. I don't know when their bye week is. Their bye week is this week, so maybe they'll have him back for the Cal game as a warm-up for the gauntlet that they have with USC and Oregon in back-to-back weeks after that.
Yeah.
So that's what they have to hope for. Oregon State, as they look forward, got a pretty nice slate till the end of the season when they finish with Washington and Oregon. So we'll see. Still got time for DJ to figure it out, but I'm keeping my red flag up for Oregon State that they're going to drop a few of these.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you come across a defense like Oregon's. Like Oregon's defense is pretty legit.
When you come across a well-rounded team, you're in trouble if your quarterback is not good. All right, rest of the games. Let's go to the game that happened in Boulder last weekend, which was USC at Colorado.
We were this close to getting a payday, bud. We were this close to getting a payday.
Let me tell you, dude, this game at the beginning, sitting in the stands, we were like, all right, here we go. This is Oregon again. This was expected. It's going to be another blowout. It was 14-0 after the first. It got up to 21-0 before CU got on the board. There was a drive right before half that was just Shedeur being Shedeur, man. That guy is a freaking animal out there. Ends with like a 30-yard touchdown run, gets it to 34-14 at half, which doesn't sound great, but that team, I don't know what Dion said in the locker room at halftime. It was a different football team, specifically on defense, that came out in the second half. They got pressure on Caleb Williams. They got forced turnover off of Caleb Williams. The offense was humming. The run game showed some semblance of life on Saturday. I told Cameron after the game, and I said it multiple times after this game, very rarely am I going to be one to preach a moral victory in a loss like this. I don't know if I've ever felt so happy or pleased coming out of a loss.
Yeah. It's tough, right? Because I kind of honestly, this is kind of what I expected this game to be. And even at halftime, I was in my motorcycle class, and I took out my phone and I looked at it. I saw the score at halftime, and I was like, I'm not worried about that. If I'm a Colorado fan, I'm like, sure, because here's the thing: we've harped on it all season. USC's defense is bad. Shedeur Sanders is good. There you go.
He is.
He is good. He is legit. And USC does not have a pass rush to speak of, truly. And if in that case, if you're Colorado and Shedeur has time, it's easy to come back. And against a USC defense that relies heavily on turnovers, against a guy like Shedeur who doesn't turn over the ball all that much. He's pretty safe with the ball. I see he's got an interception. I didn't see it, but he's largely very safe with the ball. It's a recipe for a comeback. This is I am not surprised by this result even slightly.
There are 3 plays that decided this game. One of them was that pick, which was just a really bad. It was maybe the first truly bad decision by Shedeur I've seen this year. Other than holding on to the ball too long, it was the first bad throwing decision that I've seen from him this year. You cannot turn the ball over on your side of the field with Caleb Williams on the other side of the field. You can't do it. So that was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 was they did this little rollout punt thing, which they don't normally do, and it got blocked. So they gave Caleb Williams the ball on their side of the field again. Those 2 plays go the other way. I'm telling you, man, I'm not saying Colorado wins, but you're looking at maybe a different outcome on Saturday. And then there were a couple. There was Caleb Williams is going to be Caleb Williams, but there was a play. They had,
he had 6 touchdowns.
They had masterful coverage downfield. It was 3rd and 8. They covered these guys for 8 fucking seconds, and those receivers are not easy to cover.
No.
And then Caleb just ran around, did his thing for 20 seconds till somebody's wide open and he threw a touchdown. But you don't let that stuff happen, and you can get a little better pressure in there in the first half. This game looks way different. Colorado did this without 3 of their top 4 DBs on Saturday not playing. That's Miles Slusher, Shiloh Sanders, and Travis Hunter, obviously. I'm telling you, if this Colorado team's healthy and they eliminate 2 plays, Colorado probably wins that football game.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I said, this is what Colorado lives and dies by their skill position, right?
No doubt
So
about it.
if
Although I will say, both lines looked vastly different on Saturday. Vastly.
it'd be interesting, I'd have to go look at it because USC's defense is like their defensive line is bad.
You
so
could
it's
say
like,
that USC's defensive line's not worse than Colorado State's. I'm telling you, that offensive line looked better.
I can't argue that. I didn't see it. But it'd just be interesting. I probably should watch it just to get the feel for it. Because when they're what's going to happen is they're going to have a game like this against a bad defense where they're going to fucking light them up and it's going to look really good, and then they're going to go against I don't know their whole schedule off the top of my head, but like they're going to go against a Utah which has like a really stout line, and they're probably going to get cooked again. Right, and it's the nature of living and dying by the skill position, and like we even said this at the beginning of the year, offensive line is the hardest thing to flip in a year, and so I'm not surprised by these results, right? Like none of this is surprising. Like the Oregon win, I didn't think they were going to hold them that hard, but like I knew that offense was going to struggle really bad because Oregon has a great pass rush. Yeah, and like I'm not surprised by this because USC has a bad pass rush, and if you give Shedeur Sanders time, like I'm not really surprised by these results, and so it'll be interesting to see.
Here's the thing, man. On the rest of their schedule, like it's not
they've got it nice for the next couple weeks.
It's not easy the rest of the schedule because the Pac-12 is so deep, but at Arizona State, that should be a win. Home against Stanford, that should be a win.
Yep.
At UCLA's strength is not their pass rush.
Yep, I agree.
I'm not saying that's a win because it's on the road, but that's winnable. Oregon State, if they can't figure out how to pass the ball, we saw against Washington State that they can give up points if you have the skill positions.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
In Boulder, man, Boulder's fucking hard to play in.
No, that. Oh, it is. Yeah, it is in Boulder.
Home against Arizona. Arizona doesn't look like they're all that, up and down. Depends how you view Washington, I guess. Washington State in a shootout. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then Utah's the one on there that's like, okay, they're probably going to get suffocated.
Yeah. It all depends.
I don't know.
It all depends. I literally like Colorado. For me, I'm looking at this and like if the defensive coordinator is good at game planning, Colorado can struggle if I'm doing this, if I'm the D coordinator on any team, I am throwing fucking house blitzes, man. Like I'm just like send the fucking dogs, dude.
Here's the thing. They did that on Saturday and Colorado beat them with play calling on those blitzes. So I don't know if that was Shedeur checking it at the line.
That risk every fucking day with that. Like
you're just going to get some home runs against you when you do that.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to score, and so it's going to be shootouts always for Colorado.
Yeah.
That's how this season's going to go, and that's how it's played out, and that's fine. Give me Shedeur against most of those quarterbacks remaining on the schedule, though. There's the potential here for it to be a very special season for the Buffaloes. I'm not going to call it. I'm still saying the 6-6, 7-5, but there are 9 winnable games on this schedule now with how they look.
But my thing with Shedeur is like I would take him like on this team, like they're like it's. If I'm taking him like on Oregon behind Oregon's offensive line, like you said, I'm taking him over most of those quarterbacks, right? Giving him time is the thing, but like you said, he holds the ball too long, and like I think
he showed improvement there too.
Yeah, he kind of panics behind the rush.
He also pulled the ball a few times because like I think his problem a lot of the time holding the ball too long was he was trying to be Caleb and just run around back there and wait till guys get open. When he did that on Saturday, he found an open slot and he ran and he took the 3 or 4 yards and he slid and that was it. It's fine. Take what the defense gives you, move on. I saw everything I wanted to see other than a win on Saturday out of the Buffaloes. That was I haven't watched the film back to see if, I haven't watched the game back to see if what I saw in the stands matches what the tape shows. But from the stands, it looked markedly improved on pretty much every front.
Well, I mean, from the Oregon game, you can't go down.
Even from the Colorado State game, and even from the Nebraska game, which I know that game ended up being a blowout. There's a lot of things that they did very poorly against Nebraska. And I didn't see that on Saturday, other than the 3 really bad plays. I'm very positive right now about the Buffaloes.
I can tell.
Also positive about the Oregon Ducks because, my goodness, my guy, that the starting Oregon defense has not given up a touchdown since the second quarter of week 2.
Unbelievable. Texas Tech was the last touchdown that was scored against the starting defense.
Yep.
That's really
maybe it was the third quarter of week 2.
It was third quarter. It was third quarter of week 2 because they came out and scored in the third quarter right away. Oregon's defense is fucking nasty. I think Dan Lanning's defense is finally starting to show its improvement.
Yep.
The implementation has been rough at times, but I think there's still going to be some growing pains. I think there's going to be probably another game or two where you're like, what the fuck is this defense doing, man? Like, what are we doing? Because it just takes a long time to implement a really great defense. If we're talking about flipping a team, right? And like we talked about, offensive line is the slowest thing to flip. Close second is just the entire defense, right? It's like getting a unit together, bought in, knowing their assignment in every situation. Since defense is such a reactionary thing, basically right. all you can do is teach system and reaction, and you got to have a couple recruiting cycles to get the guys you need, stuff like that. So I still expect like Oregon to have a pretty bad defensive game at some point. But overall, this defense is great. Like, I love this defense, and the offense is the offense, right? What we knew they would be. Slow start though. Slow start.
Here's the thing. It was a slow start. I never once was worried about this game. It was 3-0 after the first quarter. Stanford had the ball for 13 and a half minutes in the first quarter. Oregon had the ball for 3 plays. It was a 3 and out, which you don't love. But when you go fast, you're going to have 3 and outs. That's part of the struggle. As soon as they started scoring, there was no foot off the gas. It was it was 6-0 at one point. At the beginning of the second quarter, they kicked a field goal. And then Oregon found its rhythm and never looked back, scored 42 unanswered points. You love it. And looked good doing it. I mean, it was
fantastic.
It was pretty
easy.
much flawless.
It was easy
from that point.
Right.
After their second series, they had 2 bad series. It just lasted a quarter and a half because Stanford played keep away the best they could. But once Oregon got
that is going to be the recipe to beat Oregon.
Unless you're Washington or USC. Unless you're Washington or USC, then you're getting into dogfights.
Yeah.
But you have the weapons to do it. Most teams don't. What's Oregon State going to do? We know it. Dan Lanning knows it. Everybody fucking knows what Oregon State's going to do in the not Civil War.
Yeah. I think we can call it that. Like, it's not going to be a game for a while, so it's the Civil War. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be it's not going to
be the Civil War.
Yeah, it's not going to be continuous running rivalry
run the ball 1,000 times.
I would not be surprised if Damian Martinez has 35 rushing attempts.
I think the difference is this year this Oregon defense can stop him.
I think so too.
So, that's way down the road.
I think the linebacking core.
That's the only way you're going to beat Oregon unless you have Michael Penix Jr.
It's the old
Caleb
Stanford
Williams.
model. It's the old Stanford model,
100%.
right? Just keep the offense off the field, man.
100%. Elsewhere, we have Washington going down to Tucson and struggling.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first decent team they've played, and Arizona is still only kind of decent.
And they had a backup quarterback.
They had a backup quarterback who didn't play great. He didn't play bad by any stretch.
He did not play bad. He did everything that they asked him.
A lot of dump off, which is exactly what they asked him to do.
Dink and dunk. Dink and dunk.
Dink and dunk for sure. But yeah, like this is, if I'm a Washington Husky fan, which God help me if I am, but if like I look at this game and go, ooh, it's not a red flag. I'm not throwing up the red flag because every team struggles, right? Every team is going to struggle at some point, especially
Oregon did against Texas Tech,
especially on the road. So I'm not like, but that would throw up a yellow flag for me. Like, look, I understand that Arizona is better than they have been. They're on the right trajectory. A 1-score win, not it, right? Like,
not it.
With like again, it's not end of the world. Like, just I'm getting a little bit of a yellow flag coming up. Like, ooh, they've got to clean things up in their head, right? And like, it's kind of like you said with the Texas Tech game in Oregon. Like, we threw up some yellow flags with Oregon after that game. Like, we were kind of like, yeah, Texas Tech is a good team, especially with Tyler Shuck, who is now hurt. But like, they're a good team. Like, you're gonna struggle against them on the road. It's gonna be tough. But there are things that the Ducks need to clean up in order to keep going in the rate they're going. Washington is in the same spot right now. They're getting their yellow flag game. If Kalen DeBoer is a good coach, they'll be fine for the rest of the year. But if he's not the coach, like, this is tough. I mean, they didn't take care of the ball very well. They had 3 turnovers to Arizona's 1.
Yeah, no, it was not a good showing. Now, trap game. Not a great Arizona team with a backup quarterback going into a bye before maybe the game of the year in the Pac-12 coming up.
Yeah.
At home. Like, again, like you said, it's not a red flag. I'm not like hitting the panic button if I'm a Husky fan, but
gives you pause. Gives you
just
little
pause. You're gonna just pump the brakes a little on the hype train that was Washington going into that game.
I mean, Michael Penix is still Michael Penix. He's a beast. He didn't even throw a touchdown. He didn't even throw a touchdown.
That's like the only game I think at Washington that he hasn't thrown a touchdown.
Yeah, but like, I mean, he had a 9-yard average. That's pretty fucking good.
He played great.
Yeah.
And I don't think the game was ever really in question. So, like, final score doesn't show everything.
Yeah.
Washington pretty much dominated. But, like, let's
take the pause.
Some people were like, Washington's the best team in the country. It's like, okay, let's
take a break on this.
Calm down.
Somebody ranked him at 4 on this podcast.
I may or may not be ripping him a new one here in a little bit.
Someone on this podcast who may not be here, we will not name, rank them at number 4 in the country after they struggled to beat a very mid Arizona team.
I want to bring your attention to a tweet that I replied to. And this is from a guy who basically just lives to troll Oregon.
Okay.
His at is UWFB opinions, right? And so he's
I've seen this guy.
Brandon C, whoever that is. He said, do you guys remember in 2014 when Mariota won the Heisman, the Ducks played and lost in the national championship game? Well, Oregon played Zona in week 5 of that season, and they lost at home. The score, 31-24. Remember this when Duck fans bring up yesterday. #bowdown. I replied to him because I felt like it.
Yeah.
My reply was, you're comparing that Arizona team that finished 10-2 and won the Pac-12 South to the team that Washington played yesterday with a backup quarterback? Nice try.
Good luck, buddy. Listen here, dude. Bucko. That's what that says.
That team was 10-2. That Arizona team was nasty in 2014.
Yeah, dude.
And Oregon turned around and whooped some ass in the Pac-12 championship game. So shut the fuck up, bro.
Yeah, he's just trolling.
Also, Oregon fans trolling a close win. Like, y'all better check yourself too. Like, Texas Tech is nothing special. Just everybody chill the fuck out.
I still think the Texas Tech win is a better win than the Arizona close win, but
probably marginally.
The problem is it's going to be a really hard litmus test anymore since Shuck is out for the season, because like Texas Tech without Shuck is nothing, right?
Well, Arizona also was without Delora, so like I think that's what makes this worse. Is Delora wasn't in, Shuck
that's
was
what I'm
in
saying.
against.
Yeah,
Oregon. You're right. That is worse. Washington fans are dumb, man. We'll get into hate week next week. We're not quite there. We do get double hate week because it's a bye week, but next week's actually hate week.
I love double hate week.
Final Pac-12 game of the week was the Toilet Bowl between Arizona State and Cal in front of like 12 people. Did you see pictures of Cal? Oh my God, dude. That was like 5 minutes before kickoff.
It was bad, dude.
There were legitimately maybe 12 people in the stadium.
It's bad. This is like when you look at like people like when all this realignment shit was happening before Stanford and Cal signed their deals. When people like Cal and Stanford just give up football, you kind of get it after shit like that. Because Stanford, when Oregon scored, it was louder than when Stanford did anything.
There were more Oregon fans in that stadium.
There were more Oregon fans in that stadium by a wide margin. And like at this Cal game, nobody was fucking there. Like, just okay, yeah, maybe you do get rid of your football program, which is sad because both of them are very storied programs, especially Cal. Cal, if you remember, like back in 2007, 2008, Cal was number 2 in the country.
Yep.
Like they had Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch, and now they're this, right? Like, sad. They had Javid Best too. Javid Best is one of the best running backs I've ever seen in college.
100%.
He is so underrated. He was, and then he had that horrible injury. Oh God! But he was so good.
Yeah.
Anyways, this game lived up to the trash hype.
I didn't even watch. It was.
I did. I had it on. I wouldn't say I was like actively watching. I'll tell you what. I was not unimpressed by Trenton Bourguet. Not unimpressed. He had an okay game. It looked like Kenny Dillingham's offense is starting to click in his head a little bit. He's starting to understand what we're getting at here, right? Their run game is not great, even though Scadaboo or whatever is a really great running back. They have a lot of work to do there. Their offensive line is trash. So they have a lot of work to do, but they're actually I was impressed with the strides that they have made as a program. I'll say that.
Fair. They're still probably not going to win a conference game.
Cal looked like shit. Like this is how it was. Arizona State looked better. Cal looked like shit. Worse. And they still won, right? Like that's how this game should have been, I guess. Like if Cal played
sounds about right.
Remotely okay, Cal wins this by again. It's like they're just like so bad inside the red zone. It's unbelievable. And like Sam Jackson played garbage, dude. He was so bad. But it is what it is. These again, kind of our predictions for the Pac-12 are coming mostly true here.
Mostly true, for sure.
We are not that far off on most of these teams.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. All right, couple other notables before we get into our top 25s. Georgia struggled at Auburn. Probably should have lost this game.
Probably should have lost that game. And if you remember, Arizona played Auburn real tight too. Cal did. Yeah, Cal did. It was Cal. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. But yeah, like Auburn is not a great team. And so this is, and really, really, Georgia needs to be thinking they're fucking lucky stars that they have Brock Bowers, who is maybe the best tight end in college history. Yeah. Not saying something. Like they got to be thinking they're lucky stars. That dude, his back had to be hurt the next game because he carried Georgia to that win.
He had half their rushing or half their receiving yards and their only receiving touchdown.
Yeah, like he drugged them across that finish line. Again, man, like kind of with the Washington fans. If I'm a Georgia fan, I'm getting yellow flags. There is some issue here that needs to be fixed. And Kirby Smart is a fantastic coach, so I have no doubt that it will be fixed, whatever the problem is here. But like, my hackles are getting raised a little bit on Georgia here. I'm like, maybe they're not that team this year, right? I think Stetson Bennett's contribution to that team cannot be understated.
At this point, no.
Yeah, I mean, he was that team. I mean, that defense was unbelievable. But like without, I mean, the defense is still fucking nasty.
Yep. But
like their offense is trash.
It's not as nasty as it was last year on the defensive side of the ball. This weekend coming up is going to be a real test against Kentucky because that Kentucky team looks good.
Yeah.
And they have not played a good team yet. So this will be a real test. Were they just sleepwalking through these first weeks?
Could be.
We'll find out. Michigan at Nebraska. This was a curb stomping to end all curb stompings.
nothing really to talk about here.
This Michigan team, you can make an argument. Now, they haven't played anyone. But from what I've seen, it might be the most complete team in the country because they just suffocate you on all sides.
Yeah, I just with their schedule, I just can't commit to that. I just can't.
If you're just looking at their schedule compared to Georgia's, for example, Michigan has looked miles better than Georgia.
I'm not comparing them to Georgia. I'm just saying I can't because I don't have Georgia that high either. I'm not that high on Georgia either. I just like you look at the offenses that they face. Of course, their defense is going to look fantastic, right?
Yeah,
like what team on there has a remotely okay?
Unfortunately,
offense,
we won't even see until we get to
Penn
November
State.
11th. Yeah. So Michigan's going to look great until maybe they don't, I guess.
And here's the thing: the weird part about college football is these games that like. Right, where they're just going to suffocate everyone. It could give them the confidence to absolutely shut down Penn State.
Could absolutely. Well,
I'm not trying to say they don't have the talent or the ability to do that with everyone. And I'm not even saying that you're wrong that they're the most complete team. I just can't commit to that when you look at their schedule. You go, they've played no one. Like this, the best team they've played is Rutgers
with a heavy question mark.
Yeah, Bowling Green has won a game, right? Like, what are we doing here, man? Like,
yeah, it's bad.
It's a bad schedule, bad. And it's not their fault, but I just can't commit to that when you're like, I need to see you play tough competition.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying they have the potential because they're doing what they're supposed to do. Georgia's not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yes, very true.
So I guess that's more where I was going there. Speaking of doing what you're supposed to do, Texas continues to roll, man. 40-14 over Kansas.
Texas looks good.
Looks really good.
Texas looks fucking good, man. Like it is. I mean, you guys will see it in our rankings here when we go over them later. But they are well rounded. They are fucking good, man. Their defense is nasty. They're off. Quinn Ewers looks insane right now.
Last real test on their schedule coming up this week. So if you get past Oklahoma, it is Cakewalk City.
And I think they do.
This.
Like I look at because again, even though ESPN has Oklahoma winning this game, not by a wide margin.
No way. No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Wow.
But
dude,
you look at,
is the dumbest fucking thing.
You look at Oklahoma's schedule, like they've played no one, right? Like what their best game is,
and statistically, they're still close.
Yeah. And Texas has. I mean, I think this is going to be kind of a blowout game. I think Texas is going to roll this. However, it is the Red River rivalry, and that is That cannot be understated.
It was a blowout last year, which is what makes me think it won't be 2 years in a row. But you're right. Oklahoma's played no one.
Oklahoma's played no one. Quinn Ewers looks unbelievable right now. Like he's so good.
Yep.
Even if he's not like necessarily statistically looking amazing, his playmaking ability so far this season has been incredible.
Yep.
He's shown every bit of his 5 stars, kids.
Sure is. All right. 2 games of the week were Notre Dame at Duke and LSU at Ole Miss, and both games lived up to the hype.
Yeah. Unfortunately for my betting life, Notre Dame Duke lived up to the hype. I thought that was such a sure pick for Notre Dame to cover that. But like I thought it was such a sure pick. I was like, yeah, I think Duke's overrated. Duke's legit. Turns out
Duke is legit.
Duke's a good team. And yeah, I still think Notre Dame is a good team. Sam Hartman is playing a really, really good ball right now. And yeah,
Audric Estime, that guy, he is also legit.
Yeah, no, that whole team is really good. That whole team is real good.
Real good. And then LSU Ole Miss, good old fashioned shootout. Last team to have
Holy
the ball type shit.
Buckets, dude. I was like tuned into that game because it was like a later game, right? And I was like tuning. I was like, I kind of tuned into it late. I was like, holy fuck, this is an SEC game, like the big one. Yeah, no, I'm glad that Ole Miss pulled it out because I have been actively rooting against LSU since Brian Kelly was the coach there because I just fucking hate Brian Kelly so much.
Too, man, I hate him so much.
I want LSU to lose so bad every week.
Yeah,
especially after last year when they like had that run late in the season where they were playing like they beat Alabama or whatever, and then they played a bunch of shitty teams that everybody's like, they're the number 4 team in the country. And you're like, no, they're fucking not.
And they got absolutely boat raced in the SEC championship game.
Yeah. That was very satisfying for me. I am a certified on this podcast Brian Kelly hater, so it just does my heart good with LSU. I don't root against teams. I do root against teams a lot, but like I really have nothing against LSU outside of my hatred for Brian Kelly. And so it's like, I feel kind of bad because I'm actively rooting against a school that I don't really care about all that much. Like, I mean, I do. Because
Brian Kelly is worth that hate.
Yeah.
And you have to hate him. They hired him.
So. Because I loved when LSU had Les Miles, dude. When he was just like fucking like,
eating,
I swear to God, that man was on ecstasy or acid every fucking time he coached. Because like the play calls were so fucking bonkers. I don't remember like they're like fake field goal where the kicker just like hucks or the holder just hucks it over the back of his head.
Yep.
Like who the fuck thinks of that? Les Miles is a wild man, and I miss those days. Right? Like it was like him, like Spurrier was out there, like just like Chip Kelly. That was like the reign of Chip Kelly, where it's just like these riverboat gamblers being like, fuck it, chips on the table. I don't give a fuck.
And all those guys were going against Nick Saban, so they were easy to root for.
Yeah, true.
All right, that was the notable games last week. Let's just move right along to the rankings that we have and released yesterday. Some notable changes in the Just Two Fans top 25, mostly Texas jumping up to 1 and Georgia falling to 4.
About damn time.
On everybody's ballot except for the quote-unquote professional who still, for some fucking reason, has Georgia as the number 1 team country. The only thing that I can think to justify this kind of bullshit on these rankings is that he's just leaning so heavily into his media job that he has
exactly what he's doing.
He has to agree with the AP poll.
He wants no. This is what he's doing. I know. We know Chris. We've known Chris for a long time. What Chris is doing is Chris wants Jamie to get mad at him like he did with the Alabama playoffs last year. That's what he wants, man. He is trolling us. I am sure of it. He'll never admit this, listener. He will never admit this, but it's what he's doing. It's what he's doing. He'd be like, "No, I just think Georgia's the best team in the country." Like, no, you fucking don't, Chris. You watch football.
Then you haven't been watching. You just see, Georgia won again.
He is
I guess
trolling.
they're the best.
Is he in chat?
Country.
I hope he's in chat. He's probably not in chat.
No, he's probably asleep.
He's probably asleep. But yeah, no, he's trolling us. I'm pretty sure he's trolling.
He also has Washington at 4, which that should just.
He's trolling. He's trolling us, and he's ruining our rankings with it.
He's absolutely wrecking our rankings.
He's ruining the rankings. You know, he was like, I'm like worried that you guys kicked me off. We might.
Now he's trying.
Yeah, you're actively trying to get kicked off this damn show, Chris. God damn it!
The highest Georgia was ranked by the other 3 of us was 3rd by Cameron. I have him down at 6th. I am fully out on Georgia at the moment.
I'm not fully out on Georgia, but I like I said, yellow flags, man. Yellow flags. The other teams I have in my top 4.
You had them out of your top 5.
Yeah.
Or out of your top 4.
Yeah. I mean, like what I said, like the other teams in the top 4, I have way less issues with what I've seen.
Yeah.
That's what this boils down to. Like, and like I've been seeing this a lot, and I don't know if Chris actually believes, like, you know, like I think he's just trolling or whatever, or he's being.
I don't think
Chris,
he
right?
is, man. I think he's an idiot, Chris.
But like,
just
you know, people are like, well, like they're still the champ until they're not. It's like, this is a different team. This is not the Georgia team of last year, right? Like this, we've talked about it. Their defense is different. They don't have their starting quarterback who was integral to the part of that team. This was last year. They were champions last year. That doesn't mean anything for this year. If we're playing a legacy, if it's a legacy league, then fuck it. Let's make it a legacy league. Like, let's put Alabama in the top 4 right now, too, even though they lost a game because they've had such a great run.
Well,
but
Chris
like,
would just put them in the playoffs because they're Alabama.
Chris just put them in the playoffs. No, like, you know, it's not a legacy league, and yeah, they may be the champs until they're not. But like, that doesn't mean that they're the best team in the country this year.
That's not how it fucking works, man. That's not how it works in college football. They're not the champs till they're not. That's not how it fucking goes.
From what I've seen from the teams I've watched, which is I mean every team in the top 25, I've watched their games this year. I think Texas is far and away the best team in the country.
I don't think it's close.
I genuinely don't think it's close. And so yeah, I don't have a problem dropping that, right? Right. I don't have a problem saying, like, I don't think Georgia's the best team in the country. I don't. So, you know, but.
And just like shooing them in there because they won the national championship last year. It's like half of that team's gone.
Yeah.
Why?
Half of that team was gone in the first round of the draft.
Just because it's Georgia, they get to be the number 1 team in the country. Come on now. That's not being objective. That's
well, and this kind of goes back to like the problem with like preseason ranking and shit, right? Because like if everybody started their rankings this week, Georgia would not be in the top 5.
No, they wouldn't.
Right, but the fact is they started there because especially because Georgia's played a pretty shitty schedule so far, and so people would be docking that. But since they started at 1, people don't want to drop them without a loss. That is the big issue here. Is people don't like dropping teams when they don't lose, but like I think Texas should jump them no matter what. Like Texas is the better team, right?
SC's dropping, but anyway, It's a little unreal to me that Georgia just gets the benefit of the doubt. As long as they win, who cares? They're the number 1 team in the land. It's like, that is not how this is supposed to go. I'm very curious to see how the how the committee has the playoff rankings.
Yeah.
Which I think come out after this week. I think they do. I'm not sure when that starts. Cameron, you might want to do.
I thought it was week 6 is when the first rankings.
I think so, but I thought it was later last year. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, our top 25 looks like this. It's Texas 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, Georgia 4, Florida State 5, Oregon 6, Penn State 7, Washington 8, USC 9, and Notre Dame rounds out the top 10. Moving on, we have Washington State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Oregon State, Miami, Ole Miss, North Carolina, Utah, Duke, Kentucky in the top 20, and then round out the top 25 with Mizzou, Tennessee, Fresno State, Louisville, and LSU, because Eli and I, being the kind souls that we are, allowed the other two to have say in this said poll. For some reason,
neither of the two fans had LSU. Neither of the two fans of this show had LSU in their top 25. You know, I've said it. I'm a hater, and I stick to that. But like, I just don't see it. I don't see it. What's his name? The kid who transferred there from the Pac-12, the quarterback, Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
He's a great quarterback. Sure. The rest of the team is not great.
LSU might lose 3 more games.
I think they will. And like this, here's the glory part about this is like we're giving Chris shit for his god awful rankings. We're giving Cameron shit for having his AP 2.0 poll. But
it's closer to like 1.8. Like it's not a complete review.
So here's the thing: is I do nerd shit when you guys give me your rankings, and I do I do like calculations on like where we are, and I do the standard deviation from the AP poll for each of us individually, and Cameron was the closest.
Well, last week's it was the AP poll.
I know. You changed it twice.
It was like 2 flips.
Chris was second. I was third, and then Jamie was furthest away. And then I did a calculation of how many times we ranked the team exactly as the AP poll did. Jamie had 7, I had 10, Chris had 14, and Cameron had like 17 of the same or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. So I've been doing that nerd shit. But yeah, Cameron, you were right on there, bud. You were.
Dude, so I started working this week's and wasn't really paying attention to what I'd done or like going off of, I wasn't doing any nerd shit. And then I busted out a spreadsheet. And so now I have like by week by what I've been ranking them. And I've got notes, and then I've got all the links to their home pages for games attached to their team names. So I can look at their most previous game and like who their opponents have. So I've gotten a little bit more into it.
Yeah, it's actually fun. I really enjoy doing it.
It is a lot of fun.
Which is why, I got that 5-0 Maryland at 25. We got to see what happens.
What Cameron's saying is he understands the mistake he made last week, and we're just going to see him deviating farther and farther every week. It just can't like be such a stark difference from week 1 to week.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go Georgia 1 to Georgia 7. All right. Like I had to have a little bit of just like convincing.
What's going to happen is we are going to be really far away from the AP poll for like 3 or 4 more weeks, and then it's going to be like very close to the AP.
Flying back together.
So like I was saying, like having like we're giving these guys shit about their polls, but like at the end of the day, it's all going to work itself out, right? Will. Like if Georgia's not the best team in the country, they're going to lose a game or two, right? Like if Michigan comes up against Penn State and loses, like it all works itself out. Like if Washington loses the game, it all works itself out. They're no longer the 4 team.
Well, and that's how my rankings were last week when I had like Kentucky and Mizzou and like Tennessee all right next to each other. I was like, nah, those things they're all gonna move. But to answer your question, the first CFP rankings come out after week 9. So it's Tuesday the 31st. So week 9 is usually because they do like 5 weeks and then we're off to the races. So the upside to that is you get a huge sample for the teams.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
that's how it should be.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I totally agree. I hate we harp on preseason rankings all fucking off season, right? Because it's garbage. It gives teams unfair advantages.
And it's too early for us to do it after week 4. We just like doing it, so we're gonna do it. Gives us more to talk about, but truly like, do we know if Oregon or Washington are title contenders? I don't think we're going to know until after next week.
Yeah, that Washington-Oregon game is going to be a really, really big litmus test for these teams.
Yeah.
Like, I think genuinely, if Oregon goes into Washington and wins that game, just wins it.
No matter how it looks. Yeah.
No matter how it looks, if they win that game, legitimate title contender.
Legitimate,
right?
Probably number 2 or 3 team in the country.
Yeah. If Washington wins that game against a very good Oregon team, I have no problem thinking that they're a contender.
Agreed.
Right. And I also don't think that whoever, unless it is a convincing win, either way, I don't think either one of those teams you can take out of contender necessarily either. It's the Pac-12 is so deep this year, man. Like, there's legitimately 3 contenders, I think, like right now, 3 legitimate contenders for a title.
Yep.
Oregon, USC, and Washington. I could see all of them winning it this year.
USC would really have to button it up.
USC would surprise me more than the other 2, for sure. But you can't tell me that Caleb Williams can't will them to a fucking title.
Yep.
Right? Like, you can't tell me.
Have you guys looked at the All-State college football playoff predictor on ESPN?
Has Oregon at number 2, right?
Number 4 at 40%. The highest percentage is Ohio State with 54%.
Ohio State 54, Oklahoma 53, Texas 50. Wow.
But you can all right, Oregon wins out. Does Oregon win his conference title game? Yes. Make playoff 99%, win championship 23%. So I'm gonna be doing this every Monday.
They're still sleeping on the Pac-12, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah. Until we're dead, baby.
Until we're dead.
Texas wins title game. Greater than 99%, 32% chance to win the title.
Okay, so it's not that crazy of a difference, but yeah, man. Oregon's legit. I know we're gonna be homers about this. Like, Jamie's wearing an Oregon hat right now. I've got the green up in the background. I'm 100% a homer, and I'm gonna look at this through emerald color glasses.
It's called Just Two Fans, bro. Like, we're not.
Yeah, we're fans.
We're not hiding.
It's in the goddamn name.
This is not. Yeah, this is not. We're not hiding it,
and we do not care.
But here's the thing: if we're saying that Washington is a legitimate contender.
Means they're legit.
They're legit. It means they're legit because I don't want to give them a fucking shred of happiness. Nope. None of them.
Okay. Before we get on, I really got to pee. I'm drinking so much water right now. I got to pee. I'll be right back.
All right, Cameron, take us to the BRB, huh?
What's up? Little dance party. Helmet, you enjoyed that?
Hey,
I'm glad.
Hey. dance party. That's
All
what
right,
we're doing there.
let's get back to week 6 preview. A lot of teams on a bye in the Pac-12. We got 4 bye weeks. It's Oregon, Washington, Utah, and I don't know who else.
One other school.
Stanford.
Let me tell you, this is one of my favorite weeks of college football. Oregon's bye week is one of my favorite weeks of college football because I have no stress. I'm just hanging out. I'm not raising my blood pressure. I'm just watching sports. I'm just watching college football.
There are good matchups this week, too. Not in the Pac-12. This is a bad Pac-12 week, but there are good games this week. We'll get to those.
There's some interesting Pac-12 matchups.
Let's start with the Pac-12. We're going to go in order of the games. So let's start in Pasadena, California with Washington State. First real road test of the season. Going to UCLA. I'll start here. I am picking UCLA in this one. I think Washington State's a good story. I think UCLA has the exact team to put the brakes on Washington State here. So I'm picking the Bruins.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with that. As much as I actually like where USC is heading,
UCLA.
I think that's why. Sorry, UCLA, where they're heading. Washington State's done a lot of really good things this year, and they're I think they're a legitimately good team this year. UCLA has no home field advantage, right? Like the Rose Bowl for regular season games is nothing. So like being away, like calling it like a real road test, like, yeah, the team is probably one of the, well, I mean, they've actually played a really good schedule, so it's hard to say that. But like it's hard to call it like a real test or road test, right? It's their, it's a test for who they're playing, but it's not like a true road game, right? It's like, going to Stanford or Cal last week, like that's not like really a road game. It's just that you're in a more uncomfortable locker room. So I still like Washington State to win this one.
Fair enough. Next, we have Colorado traveling down to Tempe to take on the Sun Devils.
I have Colorado winning this one. I think it's probably going to be closer than we want it to be, or the Colorado fans want it to be. I did see some improvement out of Arizona State. And, Colorado team is banged up. We talked about their lines a lot. I think there's an opportunity for Arizona State to keep it close. But again, Shedeur Sanders they're not going to be able to get to Shedeur as much as the Oregon model of beating Colorado. So I still expect Colorado to win. Probably, I think they cover for sure. It's Colorado -4, easy money. Like I'm not huge into betting, but like that's kind of easy money in my mind. Yep. I think Colorado is still a better team than Arizona State. Tempe's hard to play in for some reason.
It's going to be 100 degrees.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
But I think it's going to be closer. Like I could see this being a 10-point game, a 14-point game. I expect Colorado to win this game. Like like anything under like probably a 2 or a 14-point win, maybe a 10-point win, I'm throwing up like, whoa, like watch out, like things get rough kind of shit. But I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I have Colorado winning this one. If the defense plays anything like they played in the second half on Saturday, this could potentially be a big win. I saw great things out of that defense. Now, you could say what you want about USC playing with the lead and whatever. If that Colorado defense, especially the young corners that were playing, they had 2 true freshmen playing at corner. If they play the way they did in the second half on Saturday, this could be a blowout. I'm more with you. I'm on the 10 to 14 point victory. There's going to be growing pains all year with this Colorado team, so predicting a blowout is tough.
Yeah.
But I think Colorado takes care of business in this one. Oregon State at California. This is a 9.5 point line. I think that's probably about right.
That feels like a really good line. Right? Like Oregon State, they're not like an up-tempo offense. They're going to grind you out.
Not going to light up
there's not going to be a ton of like blowout for Oregon State, but I think it's one of those games that's going to be a 10-point win, but it's not going to feel like a 10-point win. It's going to feel like a 21-point win.
This is not one I'm betting on. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
I'm not going to I'll bet Oregon State money line for them to win, but that's about it.
Yeah, like kind of what I'm getting at is like, you know, I think Oregon State will dominate this game, but it's not the score will not
the scoreboard. That. Yeah, agreed. Arizona at USC. Can USC figure it out on defense?
Do we know if Jaden DeLora is playing?
We do not.
We do not know if Jaden DeLora is playing. If Jaden DeLora is playing, I mean, USC is still going to win this game, right? Like Caleb Williams is not going to lose this game, right? Like, they have the best quarterback in the country at under center. Like, they're gonna win this game.
This is the dumbest headline I've ever read.
Whether they can cover depends on Jaden DeLora, I think.
This is the dumbest headline I've maybe ever seen in my whole life.
I'm ready for it. Oh God, give it to me.
If healthy, quarterback Jaden DeLora will start for Arizona at number 9 USC.
That like instantly that triggered the same part of my brain that when a quarterback throws an interception, the answer goes, "Oh, he wants that one back." Oh, you fucking think? No, I think he loved throwing that interception. No, I think if Jaden DeLora is healthy, he won't play. Get fucked.
I think maybe that's a headline because the other the backup played so well. Noah Fafita.
Yeah. That's
what the article's alluding to. So it's less of a bad. I guess it's less of a bad. That's still a bad headline.
Still a dumbass headline. One of them is your starting quarterback for a reason.
If your starting quarterback's healthy, he's going to start, guys.
Weird.
Watch out.
Weird how that works. But I got USC.
I got USC with Arizona to cover.
I have Arizona covering if Jaden DeLora is healthy, and I guess if he's healthy and starts. But if they have their backup in, I don't think they cover.
So you think Washington's that bad, huh?
I think that Washington sleepwalked is what I think, and I don't think USC is going to sleepwalk after their scare from Colorado.
I don't know, man. Their gauntlet after Arizona is bad. Like USC's schedule goes from super easy to yikes in a real fucking hurry, and that starts with showdown in South Bend the following week against Notre Dame. And then Utah, who beat them twice last year. And then you get a break with Cal, and then you finish with Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. Like that is a brutal fucking schedule.
That's brutal.
The second half of the Pac-12 season, dude.
Woo, it's gonna be nutty.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna watch our 2 lost champions somewhere, baby.
Going out in style is the Pac-12. All right. That is the Pac-12 slate, all 4 games. Let's go to some other notables. To pick here, we got the Red River rivalry. We kind of previewed this earlier. Line is Texas minus 6.5. I'm taking Texas big.
I'm taking Texas to
cover or double.
Yeah.
Like I think Texas
that's
wins.
Easy. I think that's an easy money.
Yep.
I also think the over under at 60 is you got to bet that over. These are both high scoring teams. Bet that over.
This next game is one that I think if it was at Maryland, it would be a little different story. Ohio State against Maryland, Ohio State at home. Maryland hasn't played anyone, but they beat the brakes off Indiana, which Ohio State failed to do. So if you're looking at similar opponents, I'm not going to pick Maryland to go into the shoe and win, but I would just keep an eye on that -20.
I would keep an eye on that -20 as well. Taulia Tagovailoa is he's
star.
Legit. He's
a
legit
star. Yep.
I really like the way he's playing ball. Although this Ohio State defense is clamps. They are fucking good. They are, dare I say,
not what you could say the last couple years.
Yes. And so this is Taulia's like biggest opponent, and so and
it's fucking hard to play in the shoe, man.
It's hard to play in the shoe unless you're Oregon. And so I'm just gonna I keep an eye on that 20-point spread. If it I think Maryland can keep up for a good 2.5 quarters here.
Agreed. A ranked versus ranked just two fans game for some fucking reason. We have LSU at Missouri.
No, the just two fans rating. This is not a ranked matchup.
A ranked versus ranked producer and professional game. LSU at Missouri. Is LSU going to fall to 3-3?
Yes.
I fucking hope so.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up, Cameron. Shut the fuck up.
You're pandering
now. They'll fall to 3-3, but I'll keep them at number 25.
Oh my God!
I swear to God, I will exclude you from the ranking.
Maryland can win, and I'll still bump them out to keep LSU in.
No, I mean, my heart is saying LSU falls to 3-3. My mind is telling me that LSU is 4-2 after this game. Unfortunately, I think Missouri is a pretender for the most part here.
We'll find out real soon.
Yeah, they've played a lot of kind of dud teams. They haven't really beat the brakes off of anyone. But we'll find out.
It's not a dud. But they're not.
No, they're fine. But that was a close game, right? Which is you're not going to knock them for that.
62-yard field goal to win.
Yeah, and then you look at Memphis, who's I guess not a dud either, but 34-27. You look at Middle Tennessee State, they beat them 23-19. 23-19. Sorry, that was Tourette's. I swear to God. We had 23-19.
No, because I was gonna say it too. You read it, so you were able to get the jump on me.
Yeah, but yeah, so that is a yellow flag there for sure. But
I'm with you.
I think LSU improves to 4-2.
Damn,
it's.
I'm not putting them back in the top 25.
No, fuck that, dude.
I'm not. I will not.
I already have my number 26 team queued up, Jamie.
You do. I know you do.
Because I got excited to put him in there. Yeah. You recognized my mistake, is what you did.
Sure.
I went out of sight and out of mind with UCLA because they didn't play, so I didn't put them in the top 25 like I did last week, and I put in my 26 team.
Alabama at Texas A&M. This has kind of been a house of horrors for the Crimson Tide over the years.
Yeah. And like this Texas is here's the real kicker for this game. This A&M team has no business winning this game. So that means they're probably going to win.
They're probably going to win, dude. That's the games they win. When they actually have a decent team that could beat Alabama, they lose by like 50.
Yeah.
And when they have a team that shouldn't even be on the same field, they win.
Yeah. And I'm not a believer in Jalen Milroe at all. Like he just doesn't
do it for you.
He just doesn't do it for me. I might actually pick A&M on this one. much as I hate Jimbo Fisher, I think
Alabama's only a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, especially in A&M, I think A&M takes this game.
I'm not going to pick it. Alabama looked like they hit their stride last week. So I'm going to pick Alabama here, but I'm not confident. Like, I'm not betting this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I'm not confident in that pick at all. Moving on down the road. Yeah, a lot of good games this week. A lot
of good games.
Kentucky at Georgia.
Keep an eye on that line, kids.
Georgia minus 14.5. I'm taking that. Taking Kentucky with the points. Georgia between the hedges. They don't lose at home, man.
They don't lose at home.
If they look anything like they've looked the rest of these games, they might lose this one. Kentucky has some firepower.
Yeah. Kentucky's a good team. Like, this is what I'm saying is, like, even if Georgia plays better than they have and Kentucky keeps playing the way they have, I still like that spread for Kentucky, right? Like, it doesn't matter to me how Georgia looks. I think Kentucky can run with this team.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at that 14.5 point spread going, yeah, give me that.
Yep.
But I still think Georgia takes it. It's at home.
Notre Dame continues their stretch of maybe the hardest stretch of football we've seen this year so far, as they take on undefeated Louisville.
Yeah, and I like Louisville.
There's a reason they're number 24 and they're undefeated. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Notre Dame is just a far better team.
This Notre Dame team, and I think I said this to you on Saturday when I thought they were going to lose. I was like, I finally believe in a Notre Dame team and think they're good and they're going to fucking fall to 4-2.
Yeah. But
they didn't. They won. They are the only team in the country, I think, that's played 6 games. So they had a week 0 game and have not had a bye yet. And unfortunately for them, their bye doesn't come until after they play USC. Big bummer.
So this game has trap game written all over it, my guy.
100%.
I think even Vegas believes
that. A ton of hype.
That USC is going to get a ton of hype, and they just played a ranked matchup against Duke. That was a tough fought win.
After just losing to Ohio State in devastating fashion.
Yeah, and I'm not huge on Louisville. I think they're fine. So I'm going to take Notre Dame on this. The spread at 6.5. I feel like Notre Dame can win by a touchdown on this.
I agree. I don't think
they're going to do much more than that, though. I think they're going to kind of pick their foot up off the gas a little bit. I think they're going to try to stay healthy a little bit.
Probably true. And then the game, maybe what is turning out to be maybe the game of the year in the Mountain West. We have Fresno State going up to Laramie to play Wyoming.
This game is a must watch for me. I find this super intriguing. Wyoming is a good team, a surprisingly good team. And Fresno State is great still. They're still Fresno State. The Fresno is the 6-point favorite in that. I kind of like that line. It's really hard to play in Laramie. Really hard to play there. It's so high altitude.
That's Texas Tech.
It's higher altitude than even Boulder is. Like, it is a tough place to play, especially coming from Fresno, which is, I think, 1,000 feet, something like that. That's going to be really tough adjustment for them. But I like that spread at 6. I think I'm going to take Fresno, but by a field goal.
Yep, I like that. Man, Wyoming's only loss is to Texas, at Texas, and they only lost by 3 touchdowns.
They're a good team.
That's a good football team.
They're a good team. I'm not trying to discount them at all. I think Fresno State's a good team too. So
Oregon State and Washington State. You better watch this one. Scout your
Next year's
future
competition.
rivals. It's must watch, especially in Corvallis and Pullman.
Yeah.
That's really it for next week. Good slate of football games. Super low stress for you, relatively low stress for me. Good stuff before we get to hate week.
Love that. Especially because we're reliving the old college days over the weekend, having a little beer pong World Cup this weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Awesome.
Gonna pretend like I'm 22 again, man.
Have fun with that.
I'm not, because I'm not gonna be drinking, but so I'm kind of cheating. But we're old.
That's good, because Sunday would be worthless if you drank like we did when we were 22.
Oh God, you mean next Sunday? Because I'd still be worthless by that time. Like, are you kidding me?
You might just die.
If I drank like I was 22, if I drank like that now, I might literally just die.
Yep.
Like, my whole body would just be like, shut down. Good night. Like, I can't do that. No fucking shot, man.
Yep. All right, that's it.
All right, well, it's your buzzer beater this week.
It is my buzzer beater.
Listener and viewer, thank you for being here. We appreciate you guys. It's always fun to kind of see the number of people who listen. It always makes me take a step back and realize how many people love to listen to our dumb takes. It's always
our takes are fucking awesome, man.
Fucking awesome. I don't know, dude. People are ruining our fucking our rankings, but
that's not the
listeners. It always I know it's not the listeners, but it's always a little bit humbling to be like, we're not a big podcast out there, but enough people to where you're like, hell yeah, man. This is cool. It's cool to have people who like to hear my takes on sports or Jamie's takes on sports. It's really humbling. It's really cool. We enjoy you guys being here. Thank you for being here. Big shout out to Zeta June for letting us use their music. Congratulations to their guitarist for getting married to friend of the show, Jamie's sister, Perry. I saw that. I was like, what? But big shout out to
saw that. I was like, what?
Wait, what? You didn't know?
I knew, but anyways,
and then big shout out to super producer Cameron, man behind the glass.
Hi, thank you.
There he
is. This is fun. I enjoy this.
It is fun. Good. We're glad to have you. We appreciate you, especially now that you're running the actual stream, so I don't have to because I'm really bad at it. So yeah, appreciate that. I don't feel like I'm missing any thank yous, but with that, Jamie, hit us with your buzzer beater.
Buzzer beater for the week is Chris. Good thing you weren't here this week, because your rankings are horseshit.
This is